What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another Arsenal update video. Been off for a couple of days, a little bit quiet, but we are going to start getting busy now as we build up to the North London derby. I will be back on live stream tomorrow as well as we do press conference reaction from Mikel Arteta and look ahead to the massive North London derby on Saturday. Huge game, looking forward to it. And, can't wait for that game right there. Just wanted to start off today's show. Obviously, really sad news about the passing of Coolio, who was, growing up, I think, we all, Gangster's Paradise was a classic growing up. He was obviously in the Keenan and Kel soundtrack at the beginning. If you know, you know, people. Orange Soda Business and all of that. But yeah, man, very sad news, and just thought I would mention that at the start of today's show. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and appreciate everyone who's voted so far for the Football Content Awards. Links are in the description below, people. Let's talk Arsenal. So we had some bad news today regarding Emile Smith-Rowe. News has come out today that Smith-Rowe will be out until at least the start of December. This is just when they expect him to return to full training. You would then expect a couple of weeks on top of that. So after a specialist consultation and discussions with the Arsenal medical team, Emile Smith-Rowe underwent surgery to repair a damaged tendon in his groin this week. It is hopeful that he will return to full training in December. Wishing a speedy recovery to Emile Smith-Rowe. Very sad news. I met Smith-Rowe over there in Orlando, spoke to him, and you could tell that he was a little bit down and seems to have been struggling with injuries. Hasn't really featured a lot for Arsenal, and obviously got this injury after the Manchester United game in the cool-down where he seemed to tweak his muscle. And they've decided to put him through an operation. It is bad news for Arsenal because Smith-Rowe is a very good player. He got 10 goals last season. He would have been hoping to have tried to go to the World Cup, if we're being totally honest, as an outside bet. But hopefully this deals with the issue long term. So, we lose him for potentially the next few months, just over 2 months. But hopefully long term it deals with the problem. Where my concern really comes in is, number one, Emile Smith-Rowe is only a young lad getting a lot of muscular injury problems. So we hope that this doesn't continue into some sort of Jack Wilshere situation. The second point of view would be Arsenal now. You're looking in those wide areas for Arsenal. We started pre-season with Martinelli and Smith-Rowe as our left wing options, and Saka and Pepe and Marquinhos as our right-wing options. You're now in a situation where, with Smith-Rowe being injured, that's just Martinelli on the left and Saka on the right, with potentially Marquinhos as a backup. Pepe's gone, Smith-Rowe's injured, and we didn't sign a replacement. Now, you're now sitting there thinking, if we were to get an injury to Saka or Martinelli, touch wood, that doesn't happen. But if that was to happen, we would be in a very precarious situation. So we've got to hope that Martinelli and Saka, that we can wrap them in cotton wool. We have 9 games in October, a massively demanding fixture schedule. We're going to need the likes of Marquinhos and maybe even Reece Nelson, who's back from injury now, to step in, certainly in those Europa League games, and take the weight off those wingers. So, listen, very disappointed for Smith-Rowe. Do think he's a very good player, but clearly he's been struggling with injuries. And on behalf of the channel, obviously we echo the thoughts of Arsenal. Get well soon, Smith-Rowe. Hopefully he comes back stronger than ever, because he's somebody that we're going to need as the season develops. So you're not going to see Smith-Rowe in an Arsenal shirt until after the World Cup, which is a big, big loss to Arsenal. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this injury. Are you concerned about him long term? Do you think this operation will solve it? Hopefully it does. And should Arsenal be looking for a winger in the January transfer window, or do you think the likes of Marquinhos and Reece Nelson are adequate backup? Let me know in the comments down below. The next bit of the show, people, somebody we've spoken about a number of times, but another story doing the rounds today is around Douglas Luiz with a January move to Arsenal. According to Mark Irwin in The Sun, he has said today that Arsenal are expected to go back in for Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz in January. Mikel Arteta is reportedly keen on the midfielder. Douglas Luiz will have less than 6 months on his contract in January, so Arsenal will offer less than they did at the end of the transfer window. It's believed an offer of 15 million will be made by Arsenal as they have concerns about Thomas Partey's injury record and they are keen to bolster the midfield for the remainder of the season. Now, we've spoken about this time and time again. Arsenal should have signed a midfielder in the summer. You know, Partey's injury prone. El Neni was injured. Xhaka, we haven't been able to rely on him over long periods of time previously in his Arsenal career, although he is having a good start to this season. Lokonga doesn't quite look ready, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles was loaned out. We clearly need a midfielder. I think we need to address this in January. If you can get Douglas Luiz for 15 million, for me, I would get that deal done. I think he's somebody that could play next to him, that could challenge him for his position, and that equally could step in if he was out and maybe play next to Granit Xhaka. And I think 15 million. Look, the club will be looking at it thinking you can get him on a free in the summer, but I think you will have a lot of competition for him as a Brazilian international, 25. Atletico Madrid have been linked with him. I think Arsenal need to simply get the deal done if that is the guy they are targeting. Arteta knows him. He worked with him at Manchester City when he was there for a short period of time. Edu knows him from the Brazilian national team. He will be very disappointed that he wasn't allowed to leave in the summer. It's basically blown any opportunity of him going to the World Cup by continuing at Villa. He's not in the Brazil squad. If he was at Arsenal, maybe he would have had a chance of being selected. Would you pay £15 million for Douglas Luiz in January? Personally, I would. If there was a better option available, then obviously we look at that. But at the moment, I think he would be a good option for Arsenal. Somebody to challenge Thomas Partey. And for me, £15 million in this market for a 25-year-old Brazilian international would represent good business. He's a player that I think could improve at a better team, and I think we are a much better team than Aston Villa. So let me know in the comments what you think about that one, people. Let's look ahead briefly to the North London derby, and the injury news coming out of Arsenal at the moment is that Arsenal are very hopeful that Thomas Partey, Kieran Tierney, Martin Odegaard and Alexander Zinchenko will all be available for the North London derby. Zinchenko has been training. Odegaard featured for Norway. And obviously Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey were sent home. Tierney got a knock to the head. They had to protect him in case it was concussion. And Thomas Partey got a knock on the side of his knee, but seems to be all right. And those guys should be available for the North London derby. As I said before, absolutely massive game against Tottenham on Saturday. I will be doing a watch along for that, of course. And tomorrow I will be back with press conference reaction. We'll hear everything about the team news and everything that Mikel Arteta says ahead of that game, as well as looking at our potential starting 11 and score predictions for that game. So apologies. Last few days have been a little bit quiet. I've been doing one or two other things, but we're back now. Massive October for Arsenal. 9 games. Liverpool next week as well. But we're going to focus on the North London derby tomorrow. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. Comment on anything we've spoken about today. And I will see you all tomorrow, people. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bless.